The law of navigation says anyone can steer the ship, but it takes a leader to chart the course. I believe that. The law of navigation is, I think, for many people, one of the quickest laws that they can learn and pick up. It's kind of a technical part of leadership. Just like the law of intuition is the intuitive part of leadership, the law of navigation is the technical part of leadership. And Jack Welch was right when he said in your notebook, a good leader remains focused. Controlling your destination is better than being controlled by it. So let's talk about this law of navigation. A leader is one who sees more than the other people. That's how you know that they're a leader. A leader is one who sees farther than other people. In other words, they not only see the big picture, but they see farther out. And a leader is one who sees before others see. In other words, the very fact that you're a leader tells me that you see things quicker than people. You see things larger than life than other people. You see probably farther out than other people. In fact, let me say this. If you have people around you that see things quicker than you, you're not the leader. If they're always coming telling you what they see, they're the leader. Because leaders see quicker and faster and bigger and broader and fuller and deeper. That's who leaders are. Now, the law of navigation says that as a leader, I have the ability to take you from point A to point B to point C to really the finish line, wherever it is. The law of navigation says that I'm going to be able to take you on a journey successfully. Now, the law of navigation says I not only have the ability to see the end result, but I have the ability to understand that there are steps that I need to take to get to the end result. For example, if I'm saying to you as the leader, I want to take you up to the stool where I'm doing a lot of my lecturing. Well, what I realize is there's a step here that I've got to take, and there's a step here that I have to take. I realize that there's a process of step by step, and the law of navigation says that as a leader, I know which each one of those steps are, and I know how to take you from one level to the next, and from one level to the next, until finally I am able successfully to bring you to the destination. Let me illustrate. In my mid-20s, 25, 26, as a young pastor, I went into my first multi-million-dollar building program. Now, you have to understand, I am not practical in those areas. I'm not good with my hands. I'm way over my head. I'm going to have to lead a congregation, a very fast-growing congregation, into this huge building program. I wish back then that there would have been people that could have come alongside and helped me, like some of the organizations now I help people with. Because, in fact, somebody asked me the other day, said, John, why did you develop all these organizations and why did you develop all these resources? I said, I'm going to tell you why. Because as a kid leader, a kid young pastor, I was looking for people to help me and I couldn't find any. And so after a while I said, who's helping young pastors? Who's helping people through this process? Because it's a landmine out there. Okay. So I knew that I needed to take them into what I would call a large building program. And I knew that I was over my head. And I knew that as a leader, they were dependent upon me not to put them into some landmine areas and blow them up. Now, I don't want to just stop here for a moment, but if you're navigating people through the landmine and people keep getting blown up, boom, I am so sorry. That hurts. Oh, yes. Can I tell you, if you keep leading people and they keep getting blown up behind you, after a while, they're not going to follow anymore. Are you all right out there? They're going to say, time out. You can get hurt following that guy. So when you get to this law of navigation, your success of keeping the people with you on the journey is based upon your ability to know each step of the way. So in this multi-million-dollar building program, I said, I've got to develop a way that'll help me step by step to help the people through the planning, traveling process. And what I did is so simple, but it's been so helpful. I can remember at 26 years of age, I sat down again with a legal pad, and I wrote down the word plan ahead. And I developed a strategic process of planning that I have used for the last 25 years of my life. If I've gone to this one time, I've gone to this in my leadership experience 100 times. It works for me. It'll work for you. The letter P stands for predetermine your course of action. If we're going to navigate for people and take them from one end to the other end, the first thing we have to do is we have to predetermine what our course of action is. In other words, where do I want to go? The letter L stands for lay out your goals. Again, using the illustration I gave you a little bit ago, if I'm wanting to go from here up to the lecture area, then I've got to say, okay, here's the first step I need to take. Goals, by the way, are nothing more than stepping stones to the objective. Here's the second goal I want to accomplish. Here's the third goal I want to accomplish. I want to get up here on the fourth goal. I want to be able to walk over here. Okay, all the goals are the stepping stones. You got to lay out your goals. Okay. The letter A, adjust your priorities. What I mean by that is that the moment that you lay out your goals and you have your overall objective, I promise you, because it's happened to me so many times, you're going to adjust your priorities. What I mean by that is you're going to be spending money on things you should spend money on. You're going to be spending time on things you shouldn't be spending time on. In other words, you're going to have to streamline yourself so you can reach the goal that you have, the overall objective. So you're going to have to adjust your priorities. Letter N, notify key personnel. Now you bring your team around you, your players, your inner core, those key players. And you start sharing with them what your dream is. And they start, you start getting input from them, and they start giving you feedback. Notify your key personnel. The letter A, allow time for acceptance. Allow your people time to ask questions and accept it, because any kind of change or any kind of transition, well, it just takes time. So you allow some time for acceptance. The letter H, head into action. In other words, there comes a time when you say, okay, let's get those doggies rolling. Move them in, move them out. Okay, let's go. Let's start head into action. And the moment you start movement, the moment you start heading into action, the letter E comes to place. Expect problems. And problems always occur right here. You see, problems don't come to the front as long as you have a committee thinking about it. But the moment that people see you're serious and you're starting to head into action, that's when the problems come. Does that make sense, huh? They say, oh my, they are going to go, aren't they? Wow, they just weren't preaching about that. I mean, good night, they're serious. Expect problems. And the reason you should expect problems is, here's the way this works. Motion causes friction. Always has. Always will. So expect problems. The letter A stands for always point to your successes. And the reason you need to always point to your successes is not because you're trying to be arrogant or brag on yourself, but you're going to have people in your organization, are you not, that will point to your failures? Isn't that true? Come on now. The way some people criticize you, think they get paid for it. For some people in the church, it's their spiritual gift. For some, it is their calling. Expect problems. Always point to your successes. And the letter D, daily review your progress. In other words, every day ask yourself one question, and really only one question needs to be asked, and that is, am I making progress? Am I following the plan? Am I farther today than I was yesterday? You see, the secret of the law of navigation can be given to you in one word: preparation. That's the word. Leaders that are good at navigating are always prepared. Let me give you just a recent story that'll probably teach the law of navigation better than any other. Because of the Enjoy Life Club tapes, the leadership tapes that go out to thousands and thousands of people every month, I meet a lot of very interesting people. And one time I met a fellow not too long ago, about a year and a half ago, named Buck Burney. Buck is a fighter pilot, F-15 plane. And he came to one of my conferences and he said, John, he said, I'll tell you, he said, I'd love to take you up in an F-15 plane. And I thought, whoa, that'd be kind of nice. I used to live in San Diego and Miramar Air Base. I'd watch those fighter planes kind of land. I always thought, man, wouldn't it be something to be able to go up in one of those planes? And so he worked real hard. He worked very diligently. I mean, the guy really was committed. And to make the long story short, I don't know, a few months ago, he called me up and said, look, I want you to come to Jacksonville, Florida. He said, I've gotten permission. We've gone clear to the Pentagon. Everything's cleared. We're going to take you up in one of those F-15 planes. Now, all of a sudden, I realized it's going to happen. And I began to kind of talk to people about those planes. And I find those planes are real fast. And those planes, they go up and down, and they make loops. And now I'm very excited about going up in this plane, but I'm beginning to say, God, I don't want to be sick. Okay, I'm a little bit of a pansy. But I get down there and had a wonderful time in that evening, meal with Buck, and then he said, John, he said, now tomorrow morning, he said, I'll come by at 6:30, he said, because I'll come by at 6:30 so we can get ready to fly that plane. Now, we weren't going to take off till 9:30, and I thought, well, that seems a little long. I mean, we got 3 hours there. I mean, when I go to the airport, I don't have to usually wait 3 hours. Oh, he said, you don't understand. He said, we have to plan the trip. We have to prepare. Well, I said, you're the pilot. Don't look to me for help. He said, oh, no. He said, I want to take you through the whole process. And this whole law of navigation took on a whole new meaning the next day when he picked me up at 6:30, and they took me into this room, and they said, now we got to get you outfitted. And they put this suit on me that inflates when you start to pull G's. I mean, it inflates so the blood will stay up in your head. And I explained, I said, well, this is kind of bulky. I don't know if I really want this. They said, you want this. They said, every time you start to pull G forces, this thing will inflate, and it'll get the blood back up in your head. If you don't have this, your blood will all leave your head. You'll kind of be brain dead. I said, some people think I am now. In fact, I thought after seeing that suit that makes the blood go back to your head, I thought, we ought to sell those at our conferences. There are a lot of people, I just say, hey, let me try this on, see if this works. So we the helmet and the whole deals, they get me all in the uniform. Then they take me in this area where they put me in a cockpit in this room, and they show me all that. They start giving me all these instruments of which I'm not technical. And so they would tell me what they were, and then they'd ask me, and I'd say, I don't know. And then they saw I didn't care. And that really bothered them. But they worked on me until I got that down. Then they taught me how to fasten the seatbelt. Then they taught me how to eject, which I voted against immediately. I said, no. I voted this ejection stuff. No, I'm not for that one. Oh, they said, but you may have to. And they said, you're going to be behind the guy, so you got to go first. I said, why can't he go first? They said, because he'd take your head off if he went first. And I said, I'll go first. And they taught me how to do the parachute. I mean, I'm talking about hours. I mean, we're in there training and learning and doing all this stuff. And then they said, now we got to go out and inspect the plane. Now you have to understand, if I put the hood of the car up, I'm not sure what's under it. In fact, one time my car stopped and I didn't know what to do. Put the hood up, laid my hand on it, and prayed over the sucker. So we went out. I loved it because they're all out there and they're looking around this beautiful F-15 plane, and I'm so excited. They got my name on the side. Man, I'm wanting pictures now. You know what I'm saying? I'm wanting pictures. And they're all doing all the technical stuff, and I didn't know what to do, so I went over and kicked the tires, Those guys rolled. I mean, they realized they had a man that was never going to learn. And finally, they strap me in, and Buck is up there in the front, and then they inspect the whole plane there, and then we go to another place. I thought, well, now we'll fly. Now we go to another place. We roll out about a couple hundred yards to another team, and they do the whole thing again. I thought, I didn't trust the guys back there, huh? He said, no, as much as this plane costs, we want to make sure everything's right. And he showed me where the plan was and where we were going to go and how we were going to fly it. And then we finally got out there on that runway and had the top down. Oh, it was incredible. I mean, now we're in this thing. And he said, for the first 3 seconds, this won't seem like much, John, but on that 4th second, you'll realize you've never been in a plane like this one. He said, I'll kick in all the afterburners. The last thing he did before he started going down that runway is he put on some Top Gun music. I thought, yes. And I said, Jesus, don't you come right now. Would it tick you? You're just about ready to take off, and he comes right at that moment. Of all the times he could come, right there. I mean, so here we are, and the first 3 seconds, no big deal. And then he put those afterburners, and I mean, when he kicked those babies in, I mean, I am back there, and in 3 more seconds, we are going straight up. Not like this. Straight up. I'm looking at the altimeter, and this old baby, I mean, it is going every 3 seconds, 1,000 feet, 1,000 feet, 1,000 feet. We're going a football field a second straight up. 41,000 feet. He levels off. I am full of I'm sweating all over me. And I'm saying, why am I so perspiring? I mean, I'm just about to die up here. Well, later on he told me, he said, when they do these maneuvers, they go so fast, the body, I mean, just can't take it. He said, that's why they call it a dog fight. He said, when they're done, he said, they go rest. So he gets me a little chance to kind of get my breath, and then he says, okay, John. He said, I've listened to your Enjoy Life Club tapes. He said, you make fun of people who get on planes and just look out windows. He said, you talk about people who get on planes, look out windows, and look at clouds. He said, I suppose they're looking for duckies in those clouds. So he said, John, I thought I would help you find some duckies today. And I mean, just like that, we went straight down. He said, we're going to go chase some clouds. And I mean, he said, let's go to 10 o'clock. I mean, it is like being on a roller coaster without tracks. We finished chasing duckies. I found several, thank you very much. We got done chasing duckies. He said, let's go up and break the sound barrier. Boy, we hit it straight up again. I mean, I'm telling you, we're going so fast. I swear I passed God a couple of times on the way up. We got up to that 41,000 feet. He said, John, you can pull the throttle. He said, don't mess around. He said, let's break the sound barrier. I pulled the throttle. I mean, we took off in a matter of seconds, over 600 miles an hour. Couldn't hear the sound. I said, I didn't hear the sound barrier. He said, it's behind you, stupid. And then we went down and we started doing some of these flybys. You see when they come down the airport and they get about 50 feet ahead. Now that was really exciting because now you're going real fast. You're only 50 feet ahead and you can see all these, you can see everything. You know how fast you're going. And then you turn and you pull we were pulling about 4 or 5 Gs. It was so much fun. I said, let's do it again. And we did it again. I said, oh, let's do it again. We did it again. And I said, let's do it one more time. We did it again. And when we were doing it that last time, I said, I should not have asked for that last. I'm going to spare you the rest of the story. But I did use the bag. It's at that time I said, now, Jesus, you could come. If we're looking for timing, right now is a very good time. Now here's what's interesting. There are hundreds of mechanics on the runway preparing the plane, but there are very few pilots. Very few that can take you from point A to point B to point C. That's the law of navigation. In fact, that's why I put in your notes, it's not the size of the project that determines its acceptance, support, and success. It's the size of the leader. 5 questions. Look at the first one. Do I know where I'm going? Sounds kind of basic, doesn't it? Huh? But it's a good question to ask. Question number 2, should I take my people with me? Some of them are saying right now, no thank you. And by the way, the people kind of like to know where you're going before they get on the train. And number three, if so, what is the process of taking them? In other words, how am I going to take them step by step? And number four, have I shared the vision and the process with my leaders? And have I received their input? And have I received their blessing? And in every lesson, of course, at every law, you evaluate what is your mastery of the law of navigation. And again, put yourself down there between a 1 and a 10. And by the way, whenever you score yourself, you're not doing that for me. You're not doing that for anybody else. It's just to give a true understanding of where you think you are. One more thought on the law of navigation. The proverb writer said, good leadership is a channel of water controlled by God. He directs it to whatever end he chooses. What an incredible law. Learning how to lead people from one point to the next.